Welcome back to Gracie Meets. When you think of a funeral arranger, what do you think of? Chances are you think of someone straight out of the Addams family. But in reality, there are no Wednesday Addams. To clear up the spooky stereotypes about the job, I invited Mr. Robert Aultman to be on the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I am originally a Mississippi boy, not born and raised, but kind of an Air Force brat. Born in Maryland, lived in North Carolina, and then settled in Mississippi until I moved to Florida. The job that I currently have is what's called a family service counselor, otherwise known as a funeral arranger.
How would you explain your job to a teenager like myself?
The job is basically helping families in their greatest time of need after a loved one has passed, or sometimes before the loved one has passed. We set and arrange funeral service, whether it be cremation or burial. We help with locating funeral plots or mausoleum niches or things like that to, lay their loved one in their final resting place. We do a lot of paperwork, a lot of office duties. So we do basically kind of like a file clerk on steroids type thing.
This seems like a really unique job, so what do you think makes it unique?
The unique thing about the job to me is there is no identical situation. Every family is different. Every need is different. There's always a basic framework to handle it, but you've always got to tweak it. The other aspect of it being unique is the fact that we as family service counselors or funeral arrangers have to be able to deal with a wide variety of people. So you meet people from all walks of life, whether they be rich, poor, no matter what, you deal with them as if they were part of your own family. And that's a refreshing, unique way to do business.
I see. Why do you think teenagers don't normally think of this job?
Probably teenagers wouldn't normally think of this job. I'm going to dig into a psychology frame of mind on this. Teenagers feel invulnerable at that time in their life, like they have their whole life ahead of them. They're not dying anytime soon. So they're really not thinking funerals. They're not thinking anything like that, whether it be a funeral director, a funeral arranger, anything like that. They really don't think of something like that as a career path. And it's also can be a little intimidating when you think about, hey, you're handling, you could be handling dead bodies or helping with things like that. And kids sometimes don't think of that. But as a funeral arranger, I don't have to deal with any dead bodies other than being at a service for one. So I don't do the embalming.
Did you need any schooling or training to be able to do this, or were you just able to kind of go into it?
I was able to kind of go into it for the most part. However, the one thing that I have to say is I'm in a constant mode of training. We have many programs that we use to handle our day-to-day work, tasks, such as HMIS, which is a system that handles all of our contracts, whether it be funeral or cemetery. We use a program called Salesforce that helps us organize our day and keep up with contacts when people are calling in and asking about funeral services. We're constantly being taught different ways to approach families to help them out and to kind of convince them into the need of doing what's called a pre-need contract, which is, long before you are going to die, let's get something set in place. And a lot of people don't see the value of that. So they teach us, like every Tuesday and Thursday, we're training on how to approach families to kind of show them the value and the benefit of doing a pre-need funeral arrangement versus at the time of death. So I'm constantly being trained. So it's not something that you can walk into with a basic knowledge of computers and talking to people, and you can do the job, but then you're constantly being trained throughout your duration.
I see. So how young would someone be able to start this job since they don't really have to go to school for it?
I've seen family service counselors as young as 21. I haven't seen any much younger than that. But one of the reasons why you do have to be 21 is you have to be able to take a test in the state of Florida. You have to take a test for life insurance and annuities because you will hold a life insurance and annuities license to do your job. So the state of Florida, now I don't know about other states, but the state of Florida requires you to be 21 years old to do that because you're entering into financial contractual obligations. And the state of Florida requires you to be 21 to do that.
What part of being a funeral arranger is the most challenging, in your opinion?
The most challenging, honestly, was taking that exam. The rest of it, from being a paramedic and being in sales and helping families throughout, the past 12 years that I've, done sales, the easy part was helping families cope. I enjoy that a lot. The hardest part of the job was really taking that life insurance exam.
Why did you want to become a funeral arranger, and when did you kind of know that that's what you wanted to do?
Well, I was working as a retail sales consultant for AT&T, so I sold cell phones. Did that for 12 years. And one of my customers, who happened to be the family service manager for the funeral home that I now work for, was one of my customers. She recruited me. She showed me a little bit about the flexibility in the schedule and the money that you could make and things like that. And that's what allured me to doing the family service counselor job, was the fact that helping families and just being who I am could make me a lot more money than selling cell phones.
Cool. So how has your job changed since you first started?
Well, the best way to put it is COVID-19 changed everything. Originally, we would have people coming into the funeral home and setting up arrangements, and we could go to retirement communities and set up table days and talk to people. And we had an influx of people just coming in and out. COVID-19 stopped that. We've had to go from, big services, even big graveside services, to no more than 10 people in, and 9 times out of 10, we're doing virtual Facebook Live streaming funeral services. So that's changed how we've done business quite a bit.
Yeah, COVID-19 has definitely switched up a lot lately. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I really enjoyed getting to interview you.
Well, my pleasure.
Mr. Robert showed us a career that is definitely a unique one. It takes an empathetic person who can comfort people in one of their most vulnerable states and be a shoulder to cry on. This career of being a funeral arranger shows that there really is a job for everyone, no matter what interests or personality you have. No normal person can put together an event as special and important as a funeral. But then again, show me a normal teenager. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. If you like Gracie Meets, subscribe so you can listen every time a new episode is dropped. And follow Gracie Meets on Instagram at gracie.meets. Tune in next Saturday for an adventurous interview with a Himalayan trek leader.